Hey there, I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things. Welcome. It's time to get some more work on that Commodore PET. Time is growing very short before I'm going away, and unfortunately, my vehicle is already stuffed to the gills, so I don't have room for this Commodore PET, so this is likely the last time I'm going to get to work on it before I go on my summer vacation. As a matter of fact, by the time this video is released, I'll already be on summer vacation. So yeah, let's hope we can get something more working on this today. We're going to start with that video RAM problem that we're having. If you remember in the last video, it's spelling syntax error wrong, and with certain keys, when you push them more than once, it's adding an extra character there with an exclamation point, which, yeah, it makes the computer sound angry. Probably angry because there's something wrong with it. And if we have time, we'll see if we can track down that other RAM problem that it was showing when I did the ROM video RAM test. All right, well, yeah, it's time to jump into doing that. But before we get to going there, I want to give a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay, where you can have PCBs printed starting at only $5 for 10 boards. PCBWay not only prints PCBs that you design, they have a large catalog of projects that you can simply choose and have printed. Just click on the Shared Projects tab and find a project you are interested in. Everything from retro replacement boards, cartridge boards, right up to modern projects. So, why not try PCBWay today? Visit www.pcbway.com and get started on your next project. So, here we have the diagram for the display RAMs, and as you can see, it's not particularly complicated. So the first thing that I am going to do, probably the easiest, it's got the 26114 chips here. Now, I previously tested those in my VIC-20. As a matter of fact, one of them is out of my VIC-20 because I tested 4 of them from two different boards, and 3 of them were bad. So maybe the one that was actually tested good is actually bad. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap these 2 chips. If I swap them, then in theory it should give me a different mistake on the screen if that's the problem. If that is not the problem, the character ROM up here is the other thing that is socketed. So I'll grab the character ROM out of one of the other PETs, of course untested, so hopefully it works if this one's bad. And if that still does nothing, then I've got all these 74 LS chips here that, well, I'll probe around and see if I can see any problems with them. They're all soldered in, so they'll have to be desoldered before they can be tested. But I believe I actually can test all of those in my little chip tester. So let's get to the bottom of this. And here we are on the inside of the machine. These are the 2 chips that I'm currently going to be looking at. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually to just pop them out. And switch them around. So let's turn this computer on and see if that has changed anything. Okay, there we go. Everything looks the same. And we're getting the same problem. It is adding the exclamation point and still spelling syntax error wrong. So, time to move on to the next thing. And the next thing is this one right here, which is the character ROM. I've grabbed a character ROM out of one of my other boards. So we will pop that out. And there we go. Time to turn it on and see if there's any difference. Well, there we go. We're still getting the same screen, so... Ah, look at that. And it spelled syntax error wrong. Bingo, problem number 1 has been fixed. It was a bad character ROM chip. Now that I've replaced that character ROM and we know that it is working properly, let's see if it's making any difference on the PETtester. Nope, we're still stuck on this screen. All right, time for me to do some research. So I've done a little bit of research here, and this is a 40-column computer with 1K of video RAM. So what it is doing is it is writing from 00 to FF, incrementing character codes onto the screen. So which means it should be like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J up there, and then the inverse codes, and then start over again all the way down the screen. So the only thing that's actually right on this screen is this little section of inverse codes here, but I think it's actually in the wrong place. And the way that the PETtester tests that is it writes all that in, and then it looks at it, and if it's getting what it expected to, it moves on. If it's not getting what it expects, then it rewrites and just keeps rewriting to the screen. And yeah, nothing's changing except for a few flashing bits here and there. So I would say that nothing is being written in the right places here. So we got to take a look at things starting at the 0 page. See why things are not getting written in properly. And here we have the RAM diagram for the PET. Now, I did a little bit more research, and it does say that something that I read says that if you're having a problem, that it's just right off the bat and the PETtester not showing the right stuff, then it usually starts in i9, which unfortunately is a tested good chip. So I know it's not i9 because i8 and i9 were missing on this board originally, so I put in the sockets and I put in tested working chips. Those are the ones I tested in my ColecoVision. Now, something I failed to mention in that video where I tested the thing and stuff in my ColecoVision is that if it had been a bad 4116 chip going in there, then in that particular spot on the ColecoVision, it would have given all the words on the screen would have been garbled. So I did test those, they work, so I will move out from there and I guess start at i10. And if I can't see anything absolutely wrong with that, then I will just start moving through all the chips that I see on here. Now, unfortunately, anything I want to test here is going to have to be desoldered to test because out of everything on here, I believe i9 and i8 are the only ones that are socketed, and they're the only ones that I know definitely for sure work. So I may have discovered what may be the first inconsistency here. I've been checking pin 14. Actually, pin 14 and pin 2 on each of these chips are tied together. So, going through the line, I'm getting a consistent waveform on everything till I get down here to I2 and J2, which are not giving me the consistent waveforms there, and they are directly tied into I11 up here, pins 2 and 3. So as you can see, pins 2 and 3 here give me the same waveform. The other chips on there, for the memory chips, are all tied into the other ones here. And as you can see, they're all giving the right stuff. And over here on this chip, which is the same chip doing the same thing for the other 8 chips, you can see pins 2 and 3, what they're giving me. So I am going to start by taking out these 4 chips and 3 chips and testing them. So I just flipped this board over to start working on it, and something that I've noticed is that all of these chips here, looks like somebody started to desolder them. So you can see that they've all had the solder removed from them, and yet these chips are all perfectly intact. So I'm kind of wondering, did somebody start desoldering all these chips and just stop? And maybe we're just getting some bad connections, and that might be just the problem, as simple as that, just really inconsistent connections. So yeah, I think maybe I'm just going to resolder all of these chips, put new solder on there. Shouldn't be that hard to desolder them once there's good fresh solder on there, if there's still a problem. And then, yeah, I can take these 2 bottom chips out here and that upper chip. Maybe I'll just resolder all of these and then actually completely remove that chip and see if I can test it, since it's already desoldered. All right, well, there's some soldering in my future. All right, I have everything soldered into place now. I did add a socket on this one. Now you may be wondering, why didn't I add sockets to all of them? Because I only have like 4 or 5 sockets of this size left right now. I have more on order, but I didn't want to use them all up right now. So if this doesn't work, then I can easily take this chip out, desolder this one, and desolder this one. All right, here goes nothing with the PETtester. And it is still not working, but it is an improvement because we don't have the flashing characters anywhere around here. And now we've got 2 of the inverse ones that are showing the proper stuff, because you remember before this was a little garbled down here. So we have 2 versions of the inverse showing properly. So we're getting closer. All right, it is time to test out the memory chips that I just took out of the PET. So this is what the screen looks like with a working memory chip in there. And what I'm looking for, if I get a bad chip, let's simulate that with not having any chip at all. And as you can see, it messes up all the letters on the screen. So that's what I'm looking for with a bad memory chip. Huh. Immediately, this one is showing bad. It's actually not even showing me what I was looking for. Let's try sticking that back back in. And here we go. Yes, that is definitely showing me a bad chip. So, let's try the other one. And that one's normal. So, it looks like we found a bad chip. All right. So now let's stick, well, we'll take our known good working one out of the ColecoVision here and try that in the PET. Okay, I have the 74 LS244 in there. That is the one we choose. That is the one. Oops. Forgot to close it. Now, we test it. Okay, everything looks good. Test it again. Yep. And that is not the problem. All right, I have replaced the bad RAM chip in here. So now, see if the PET tester is any different. It's a little bit different. As you can see, this bottom part now is split in two. It's got the row of dots in it, and actually right at the bottom, it's the first time that we've actually seen any letters on the screen that are not inverse. So slowly but surely things are changing, but I think they are at least going in the right direction to get this thing working. All right, there we go. Well, I'm moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, that is all the time that I have to work on this computer right now. As a matter of fact, as I'm recording this, I'm in the middle of packing things up, and the camera equipment is the next thing that is going to be packed up and put in the car for leaving for my cabin in just a few hours. So as you're watching this video, I'm actually at my cabin. My pet is not with me. So, yeah, it's going to have to, any further work is going to be when I get back. But, like I said, I'm going in the right direction. That character ROM is now working properly. I'm a little bit red-faced on the fact that I completely did not notice that a bunch of the chips had been desoldered. So, oops, my bad. Anyways, just goes to show that it is a golden rule that you should look your board over very carefully for problems before you start just replacing things and doing things like that. So let that be a lesson. All right, so yeah, before I go, I just got to remind you about my channel sponsor, Retro Rewind. For all your Commodore and Coco needs, visit www.retrorewind.ca. They ship worldwide, and if you use my discount code of CRT10 at checkout, you'll save 10% on your order. So thanks for watching. Don't forget that a like, a subscribe, and a comment below are all things that help the channel out a lot and are greatly appreciated. But yeah, until the next video that I shoot, or maybe you've already seen one where I'm at my cabin. I don't know. I don't know when this one is coming out exactly, but yeah, the next few videos are definitely going to be from my cabin. So I will see you there.